Welcome back. This is the Foolish Optimist Podcast. Our guest today is Jonathan Bonner. We're so excited to have you here. He is a single father, caregiver to a disabled veteran, and a proud working class candidate running for the U.S. Congress in Georgia's 13th district. Jonathan, thank you so much. We're so happy you're here.
No, thank you. I do appreciate this honor. I'm just to be one of your first guests. I've been following your content on TikTok for such a long time. So the opportunity for you to put me on your podcast, I couldn't deny this. This is fate.
I'm so glad that you said yes. So tell me a little bit, in your own words, why did you decide to run specifically in 2026? Was there a catalyst, or was it all the things all at once everywhere?
I realized I can relate to a lot of people. I can relate to a lot of Americans. My why is I'm a single father to a 9-year-old boy. I'm a caretaker to a disabled vet. My mom was honestly, federal worker for 35 years, and she got pushed off basically off of stupid policies and things like that. And my sister works at a Title I school. Teachers are very unappreciated, and they're the ones teaching the future and things like that. But there's deeper meanings. My whole life has been very chaotic, as people would say. To dive in, I'd give you guys a quick 3 minutes. Both my parents are both in the military, both served in Desert Storm. By the age of 8, my parents divorced. By the age of 12, I was burying my oldest sister. 17, I was taking my brother to rehab for his drug addiction. 18, my father had his first seizure in front of me. Of course, I was by myself. But not unfortunately, I took the duty to drop all my football scholarships I had at the time and take care of my father. I went to community college for a little bit. From there, my family was like, Jonathan, go chase those D1 aspirations, go play football. Yeah. I moved to California, saw how amazing California was. And then from there, unfortunately, my father got more sick and my family needed me again. I dropped that again to make sure I was taking care of my father. From there, I basically had to really take in that moment of being a full-time caretaker and juggling a job. And with that being said, unfortunately, my father got more sick and I had to basically put him in a nursing home or assisted living facility. And those are very expensive. And yeah, it took a hit on my credit. So it was a lot on me. And even during those times of affordable healthcare, you really don't have those, or you can't afford it. I've lost 2 teeth because of that. I couldn't afford the procedures. I've worn contacts for very long times where if an eye doctor heard me, he would be very angry. And I've worn glasses that only had one leg on it. And those are the moments. And then even from there, I kept on going. Basically, I got my first big boy job in Texas. I was working at a pest control company, working 60, 70-hour weeks, overseeing about 50 people, tired. But I was like, hey, I'm taking care of my family. I'm taking care of my dad, the sacrifice. I'm willing to do that. And then I had the best day of my life. I got an ex called me after a very long time of me not talking to them. And they said, Jonathan, you have a son and I need help. I basically quit my job, my big boy job in Texas, and moved back home with my mom. And that was very interesting, taking on my son and then taking care of my dad and living with my mom. And I jumped from job to job, from restaurants to Kroger to carpentry, pretty much doing whatever to take care of my son and my dad and my family. And my mom helped me throughout this whole process. I like to say I will talk about my mom all day and my sister because those are the strong people in my family. They're the smartest ones, but they helped me throughout the whole process. My mom would take PTO days of her own to make sure that my son wasn't home alone when I would have to work 10, 12 hours just to make sure I would have enough money. And that was a big thing. And I kept on pushing and I got my project management certification. And with that project management certification, I got my break in corporate America, which is great. I was making enough money to take care of my son. And I decided to take my father out the assisted living facility. And that was a big responsibility, being a single dad and caretaker to a disabled vet. But I had the honor to do that, or have the honor to do that. And to be honest, Mr. Orange Mandates and policies basically kicked me to the curb and made me, my family, and things like that, lives fall apart. But again, I understand what the American dream is. I fight every day for that, but it shouldn't be crushed like this. And we don't have the proper representation. I'm fighting for the single parents, the caregivers, the teachers, the federal workers, the people that don't have a voice. 2% of Congress doesn't come from the working class, and they make up all our laws and bills and legislation. That doesn't make any sense
It's
for me. How are you
it's
going to speak on my
crazy,
behalf?
right?
You don't know
Right.
nothing about me. You don't know about my pain. You don't know about the check to check life. Hey,
Yeah.
got a check? I have $5 left for the next 2 weeks.
Right. And you know what? That ramen is looking very nutritious and we're gonna make it work. I think so. You're running in the 13th district. It's
Mm,
right outside of Atlanta. It has been represented by the same Democratic congressional
mm,
representative for the majority, almost the entire century that we have been in now. So maybe you can talk a little bit about, obviously you're much younger than the man that's currently in power, but what sets you apart? You've already talked about being a member of the working class and a single parent. I think that's huge. You're talking about relating to the vast majority of the American people. And I think that's something the majority of people don't see in the people making the law. Exactly what you said. But in terms of the differences that you're looking to make for for your people that you're representing, what do you think the biggest differences are between you and the
being
right
a
city?
person you can actually see in public and touch and say he's real. He's not some imaginary figure that gets
He's
elected and
not
goes to
AI.
DC. Exactly. I'm a real person. And so I want to push that. I'm going to be here regardless of after election,
Right.
during the election. I'm going to be that person. If I'm in DC, okay, that's great. But I'm going to try to come back as much as possible, have town halls, throw fundraisers, help my community, help the people, listen to the people. And
Right.
right now, the current Democratic incumbent, he's 79. He hasn't
Mhm.
had a town hall since 2009. People don't know him, or they do know him, they just know the name. And I know damn sure I'm a competitor. I know I can do
Yeah.
better, and I want to do better for my constituents and my community. So that's a major thing. And to be an actual voice for the working class, the hard workers, the people that bust their ass every day. And that's my spiel.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a common thread that I'm hearing with a lot of people who are running is that they just don't feel represented. Some of these, like 2009 is bonkers. That is first Obama term. That we are talking so many presidents ago. And that doesn't help with his, just like you said, relating to the people of his district, understanding what they're going through. Obviously, your district is right outside of a major city, Atlanta. And so I'm sure home prices are rising, and we all know everything every time I leave my house, I'm like, there's so much money out the window. People are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm staying in my house. I'm staying inside."
I think it's hard right now, especially living on the
Yeah,
outside. People are getting pushed out. Big corporations have been buying up single family homes throughout my district.
yeah,
And there's an ongoing case right now where they work together they know if we raise the rent everywhere at the same price, no one can say no. And you have to
illusion.
accept it.
That is
So
what we call it. That is an antitrust law waiting. I think part of this I'm very excited for a new generation of people to get in and demand a little bit better, just both from the people making the laws, but also the Department of Justice and maybe enforcing some of those anti-corruption, the Sherman antitrust laws and things like that. I think one of my favorite questions to ask people right now is you're obviously going to be a junior congressman. We're speaking this into existence, right? How are you going to work across the aisle? I think we're in a very divided
I
country,
think
and that extends to Congress too.
living in Georgia where I am, I have best friends that are Republicans or moderates and things like
Right.
that. Growing up, I have Republicans and Democrat friends and friendships, and it's never been one of those you're against them and things. It's having that conversation and talking. And that is my big thing. I even talked to some of the state reps that are Republicans. My district, which is funny, his name is Josh Bonner, and he is
The
a white
cousin.
man. Yeah, he's the cousin. He's a white man. And our joke is when we first met, he's like, "Oh, you're my family member running for Congress." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, he told someone, he's like, "Can't you see the resemblance?" And it's a little lighter. And I was like, "Yes." I just stayed in the sun a little bit longer, but we're very big on just being a genuine good person and talking. A lot of times people shut that down, but even with that, I'm here to fight like hell, tooth and nail. If I believe in it and my constituents want it, I'm going to fight for it.
Yeah. I love that. You've already mentioned all of these people in your life, but I think your background lends itself to some of the, I'm calling them the unsung heroes of the American dream, right? We've got our veterans, our federal workers, right? Our federal workers right now are really feeling the heat. A lot of people are getting laid off. People have dedicated their lives to being civil servants and they're getting hit. And it's a double whammy, right? It's first, it's saying, we don't appreciate you. Second, it's saying a billionaire's making a decision for you who was not elected, who doesn't care. And it's really, it's hard to see that happen. So it's really exciting to hear. Again, you're a very young person. You're 30 years old.
Yeah.
That is in Congress, you're downright a baby. They're going to be like, oh, we child. Welcome,
like,
join us. Really, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was 29 when she got elected and she was a younger person. So you're right there. So let's talk a little bit about the district itself. I was looking at the numbers. Your district does not like to really show up for
Yeah.
primaries. So let's talk about the plan. What's the plan to get the vote out in, what is it, August?
Next May, 2026. That's
Next
the
May.
primary.
Oh, it's May. Oh, I thought it was next August. Okay.
No, I got some time, but
Okay, good.
the
Whole
big
year.
thing is being active in the community and showing up, as well as, of course, social media and spreading the word of God and talking to people. I think a lot of people or a lot of reps don't talk to their constituents. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who they are and relate to them. You can't represent a community if you can't relate. I can relate to all my constituents because I feel the same thing they do. I know when the grocery prices go up. I know when insurance deductibles go up. I feel it. I know when it feels you can't buy a house because it's impossible.
Yeah.
I want to represent them and tell them that. And I think the reason why they don't come out is because they don't feel like they can really relate to this person. So why should I vote? And that's just in general, young generation, like millennials and Gen Z. And we don't vote because I don't relate to this guy. I don't know anything. It's great he's done X, Y, and Z, but what's
or
my
he did
thing?
X, Y, and Z in 1999.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation so many times because obviously you and I are politically active people, but people always tell me they're like, millennials don't care. I'm like, we've never seen a functioning Congress. Literally in my lifetime, I've never seen a functioning Congress. I think a lot of people got really complacent after the kind of the boom of the 80s. Obviously, we've had recessions here and there, but like we had a pretty strong middle class there for a while for specific subsections of our country. But I think people were like, it's working. Yeah, and we didn't pay attention.
And that's the thing. When life is great, no one pays attention until we get to where we are. Unfortunately, we're in the very bottom. We're in the shit show. But with that being said, it's only way up is going up. And that's my thing. And to spread the seeds, to get younger people in there, be in our local government, be active in the community. You don't have to run for Congress, but be a city councilman, be a post seat holder, run for PSC, the Public Service Commission. Hey, why is my utilities going up? There's a guy that actually controls how much your utilities are, as well as if you want to do more solar power for climate and things like that, he's that person. You should run for that. But we don't know that. A lot of people don't really tell us that. And
I have cut a lot of, I don't know what's happening in your state, but I'm in North Carolina right now visiting my family. And I know that the curriculum cut a lot of civics class out and other classes that make children well-rounded human beings. Even like by the time I was in high school, home ec was gone. Things like that. And people are like, oh, home ec, it's silly. That's important. Especially when parents are working so hard. We need to learn how to cook and clean and make sure that our homes are livable, you know?
Yeah. I think people don't realize that. I think they always think, oh, their parents should teach you and things like that. I took home ec. That was my freshman year class. I learned how to cook eggs, bakes. With that, I understood in that moment, like, all right, they're placing responsibility. Your parents are busy people. They have stuff to do. They have their own lives, but they have to raise you. But certain things slip through the cracks. I am a proud person of that. My son.
Yeah.
I rely on my mom and sister and things like that. Hey, if I can't see everywhere, I need you to point out the obvious and step in where you can. And that's my thing. I understand why you would assume like that's a parent's job. If you're a parent, it's hard. it's hard to teach them
I
everything.
mean, I'm the youngest of 4 children, and everyone, I always, my joke is, oh, I'm not the youngest. I'm the final member of a very small gang who took over 2 adults' house.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
And so people are like, how do you learn? I'm like, my siblings taught me a lot of stuff. My parents taught me a bunch of stuff. Thank God. Like you, we had great support systems with grandparents and aunts and uncles. And it takes a village. And I think something I'm excited that you've already mentioned is that this strength in the community and getting people involved and getting young people involved and older people involved with when we're talking about specifically your campaign, but just the community in the 13th district. Do you have any thoughts around how to bridge this gap and bring more people out? I know everyone's so busy and
I
we're all
think,
working so hard to keep everything together
I
that it's
think,
hard to get.
yeah, I think town halls are a major part in it and seeing me and reaching out, but then also going out to these communities and talk, say, hey, let me put something in over here and post something. It might not be something crazy, but hey, let's do a fundraiser for you while I
Yeah.
have this town hall. You can ask me questions and put back into your community and help with things like that. My district's very diverse. It's very like multicultural and things like that. I'm learning Spanish. Yo aprendido español. Yo necesito practicar my conversation, pero es muy bueno. That's the
Amazing.
little things where someone that knows friends that have parents or they're undocumented, they don't speak another
Mhm.
language. It means a lot when you want to speak to them because as Americans, we're selfish. And when you come here, you should speak
Yes.
English. No, let's be a good other country, how other countries are, and learn other languages. Be
Yeah.
introduced to other cultures and embrace them because America is a melting pot. People don't realize that.
I've realized it's more like a charcuterie board, right? Where rather than melting all together, like I live in New York City, right? I can walk
Yeah.
down my street and hear 8 to 10 languages. And some of them I'm like, I never heard, like straight up, not even close to something that sounds familiar to me. But I love that. I think you're right. I think it's got to be there. We have to be very inclusive because that is the American way. And
Yeah.
people will tell you it's not. People will tell you we're all about excluding people. And like to a degree, historically, you can do that sometimes. But I think with the new generation of people and how mobile we are, you said you were in Texas, you were in California, you have been in Georgia, that's the entire country. You have traveled, you've lived in over 3,000 square miles, right? That's wild and that's awesome. But obviously that's going to expand your mind compared to somebody
Yeah.
who has lived in Georgia their entire life and that kind of thing. With the immigration, obviously, what's happening. I'm going to say, obviously, to me, it's despicable. It's gross. It's horrible. How does that affect the people in your district? You mentioned you have friends
It's
or loved ones who
it's
are, yeah.
Georgia's a very diverse state. People don't realize that. It is a very strongly growing, rapidly Spanish speaking spot, as well as I think we're number 2 or number 3 in the nation for most people from Korea and
Oh,
things like
cool.
that.
I didn't know
It's
that.
a random facts people don't know,
Yeah.
but I like to tell everyone that you really have to find a way. I know even on federal level, hey, if we don't get enough bills and votes, you go back to your community, you start working with your mayors, you start working with your state
Hmm.
reps, you create basically a protection zone, an area where it's a sanctuary city type of
Right.
area where they can't be targeted and really where they know they can feel safe and grow a family and things like that because they know someone's out there fighting for them and things like that. So
Yeah.
as a congressman, you can't just think about the federal. You have to go back to your state. You have to work with your mayors. You have to work with your state reps. You have to work with your city council. Everyone can do something. Don't fight. Don't stop fighting just because we don't win on the federal level. But a lot of state reps are like, well, we'll just stay up here and keep on playing.
Right.
No, I'm going to fight for my constituents every day, regardless win or lose in the federal level. I'm going to come back down and I'm going to fight. So that's
Yeah.
my thing, as well as just making people talk to one another, collaborate. Because we're probably thinking the same thing, but, oh, I don't know
Yeah.
so and so. Talk, ask questions.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're very passionate about that you would love to work on when you get to the Hill? Something that like
Uh,
really stands out. I know you're big on the veterans, but
yeah. Veterans,
right.
education, our federal workers. I understand our government, we spend money on stupid things at times. I'm not saying that there isn't
Of
blatant,
course.
just drop of the ball, but I want to stand on major pillars with our veterans, our education system, as well as our federal workers, and transparency in government spending. Where are we spending this money? And actually have a reason why we're spending this money, not some blanket title that is very fabricated to make it seem a lot worse.
A big, beautiful bill.
Big, beautiful bill. Big, beautiful bill, as well as our education. I don't know if you know this, but they don't teach phonics anymore.
Hey, I was having this conversation with my dad the other day. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm very passionate about phonics.
And people don't understand, and it blows people's minds. We learned this after the election. Most Americans can't read past the 8th grade. I think that's still a little too high.
I think we're being generous, unfortunately. Yeah.
My sister is a first grade teacher in a Title I school, so she sees it firsthand. Some of these kids in 5th grade can't read. When you get to middle school, can't read and things like that. That should not be something a first world country should ever have to even worry about. We should know that our future generations are knowing how to read, know how to do stuff, learn government, learn life. But
yeah. And it's gotta be the issue that I always run into. My mother is an educator as well. She now teaches teachers, but she was in middle and high school for 25 years before she went back to get her master's and her PhD. And they always said no child left behind meant no teacher left standing. Same amount of money, same amount of resources, but demanded that the kids were passing these tests. And in fact, if they didn't pass the tests, you lost federal funding. And that's, I think, where some of our issues stem, right? Because we're just trying to drill in these tests. So instead of creating these well-rounded kids and kids who are able to pursue their interests, we're just like math, science, and maybe it's English, if you're lucky.
Even social studies.
Crazy.
You don't know your history. And
where our civics, this is where our civics has gone. It's been blown to the wind.
I had to lecture my son because he was like, Dad, who's Harriet Tubman? I'm like, sir?
Baby.
I kid you not, like my face was like, oh, geez.
You sit down right now.
Yeah, and we had a whole hour discussion. I made him write a little few paragraphs, because I was like, you need to know about your history, every part of it, the good, the bad, and things like that. And now it's, oh, I don't want to make a certain group of people feel bad and things like that. No, know where you come from, know our history, and embrace it and learn from it.
There's so many. Look, I've just made a video about this, and you've seen me on TikTok. I'm just expanding into Instagram, which is, in my opinion, enemy territory. And I just made a video about how history should make you uncomfortable, right? This is how we learn. And the United States history is, frankly, a bit terrifying, if we're being completely honest. And that's okay. It happened in the past. And what is frustrating now is that we haven't rectified some of these systemic issues. But if the younger generations don't know they exist, which, of course, if you are a young Black man in Georgia or anywhere in the United States, you're going to know the systemic issues are there immediately. But if you're someone who looks a little bit more like me and hasn't learned about them in school, you might stay ignorant to them for a little bit too long, which is, and of course, on Instagram, people are just.
Yeah. No, trust me, I understand. Even TikTok, I think that's a younger
time.
platform. I saw something crazy where I saw a girl like, who's Emmett Till? And I was like, ma'am. And she was a Black woman. And I think
I saw that one.
I know our education system failed because these are the monumental moments where you should know. That's less than 100 years ago.
My parents were they were alive. I think it was like the year they were born that Emmett Till happened.
A lot of people don't realize that, and they think it's so far away. No, these people that lived through the civil rights era, were the generation or first African Americans or people induced into schools. They're 70, 60, 70, they're up and alive.
Guys, we'll do a little plug right here. You can follow Ruby Bridges on Instagram. Ruby Bridges, the little 6-year-old sweet baby angel in her little Peter Pan collar who integrated a school. You can follow her on Instagram. You should do that if you haven't done it yet. She's a I think she's a children's author now. She's mostly retired, but I
Yeah.
think she's written more than a handful of books. And that's crazy. But the way they frame it, even when I was in school, they were like, oh, civil rights is so long ago. And then you're like, wait a minute. Then you become an adult. And when I was on the up and up of becoming an adult, John Lewis was still in Congress. Oh, good trouble. One hour.
Yeah.
And seriously. And that's something I talk about a lot. And I'm with you. I'm glad you sat your son down and told him about Harriet Tubman. Did you tell him about how she just became a general, right? We just
Yes.
gave her that honor, but the
Yeah.
reason was for literally helping win one of the most pivotal battles in the Civil War.
And that she was a badass woman. And that woman,
No
she had
fucking
no
cool.
fear. Exactly. And that's the type of things you need to glorify. You need to tell
Yeah.
people about that. Younger generations need to see that. And I think when you see your history, okay, America's fought wars, we fought against tyranny, we've had our internal fighting and things like that. You need to see these monumental, strong figures in those histories, because those are what motivate you to do what you need to do for your time period. Look at your past and you learn from them, as well as get motivation and guidance. I think you can't forget about that.
I literally, when you start looking at some of the leaders in the 60s and 70s, the civil rights movement, but also JFK and RFK, I'm like, how can you not listen to one of those speeches and be like, you know what? Screw it. I am going to run for city council. I am going to get that job that helps
Yeah.
people with their utilities and things like that. Like, you just, it's like you said, hope, motivation, all of the good stuff. All of the good stuff. We talked about education. We talked about a little bit about immigration. We in New York, we're having a little bit of an issue with our sanctuary city because of Eric Adams, but hopefully he will be voted out just in a couple months here. How about, I had a thought and now it's gone. Where did it go? I was thinking about congressional oversight, corruption, things like that. Anything on those striking a chord with you?
Oversight. You got to be on these committees as well as call people out on their bullshit. And Democrat, Republican, I'm a big one of the first things I'm going to be, and they're going to know, probably both parties are going to hate me. I'm going to call people out for insider trading, stock trading. I think that blows my mind that we still allow this. The representative right now, her name is Miss Taylor Greene.
Yes.
She
down the street, close to you.
Yeah. She miraculously got some bonds and made a good profit right before our stock market dropped. With that being said,
and there's Democrats doing it too. That's like Nancy Pelosi. There's an app. You can track Nancy Pelosi's buys in the stock market. And if you have 2 pennies to rub together and you want to drop them in, I promise you're going to make money.
And that is
absurd.
Outrageously, it makes no sense. And so you need to call people out. That's great. You're doing X, Y, and Z, but are you really serving the constituents or are you serving yourself? If you want to make money in Congress, you shouldn't be there. But if you want to make money outside, out of office, go for it. Retire. Drop your seat.
Retire. Get on that book tour. You speak at every college that is literally in the entire world. Go have fun. Yeah. Get out of Congress.
That's where you make your money. And that's why I tell people, even my campaign team, I tell them, I was like, you guys are going to make money. I'm going to provide funding for all these town halls, organizations. I want to help people and make people financially secure. I don't want to make money. I'm a simple man. I'm from Georgia. If I could live on a farm and have some chickens and some goats, possibly a cow or two and a horse, I'll be good. But I don't want to make that money until after Congress. I could get some shits about that. So, yeah.
It's crazy because everyone that I'm interviewing, yourself included, majority of them are in their 30s, early 40s, and 90% of them are saying the same thing. It's just, I want to get in. I want to represent my people. If I don't do a good job, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy, what a concept in a democracy.
I legit tell people, I was looking at another representative running in Illinois, and her big thing was, hey, I'm running in a primary. If you want to run, I will pretty much help sign you up, all the paperwork you need to do to get you to be on the primary and be on the ballot. But it's because we want competition. We want the best of the best representing us. I love it. I'm a SEC baby. I think football and basketball, we're the best of the best, but people go here because it's the best of the best. I want the best for my constituents.
Yeah.
And I think that's weird to people because they're like, you don't want a lot of people in you. No, I want the best to win.
I
And
want to win if I am the best, and I would like to go up against the best. And that's what
exactly,
drives me crazy about incumbents is they're like, you shouldn't run against me because I've been here. And you're like,
there's a reason why I'm here.
I'm like, then I become a millennial and I think of Kirsten Dunst and Bring It On. And I'm like, I define the best by running against the best and winning. Okay. You
Exactly.
can't be the best. Yeah. But I think your mentality is right. I think being relatable right now is probably one of the biggest things in the world because, like you said, there's no one our age in their 30s aside from we've got a handful of young people. We've got one, I believe it's just one Gen Zer, right? Maxwell Frost.
Yeah.
And so
You have
the
to.
system's working really well for the people who are there.
Exactly. But we need to get in there and we need to start showing our voice. The older generations, they've done their job. It's time to pass the baton and start putting people. We're, I think, 42% of the US, Gen Z and millennials.
Let's go. Let's take
We
over.
only have 17%, both of us combined in Congress.
Yeah.
And even with that, only 2% come from the working class. So
Yeah.
I will not run when we don't have, or we have enough working class candidates in there that can represent us properly and speak on our behalf.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people think the division in the United States is right versus left, but it's really not. It's working class and the middle class has been destroyed.
Yeah.
The middle class that we knew as children is basically gone.
Yeah. Stop looking left and right. Look up. That's where your enemy is. But you have to understand that they want to divide us. They don't want us to there. And even talking to my friends, we're a lot similar. I swear, just because they're Republican or moderate or whatever,
Yeah.
they're not evil people. Talk to them and say, what do you want? Okay, let's find something where we can work together to get this stuff done. Of course, I'm not saying we're going to be 100%, but I can guarantee you, majority of people are going to work with you. And if they don't, social media, news, call them out on their BS. Why is so-and-so doing this? They said no.
Like you're not representing your people.
Yeah. Action.
You're here to represent people. You're not representing yourself. You're representing the people that voted you in.
I am telling you now, one of the funniest things, and this is a key. Once I'm in Congress, I'm going to use some of my own money. If you vote against one of the bills and say a horrible bill, like you just said no, and there's no reason, I will buy a billboard in your district. Say in points, this person said no because or this person said yes and messed up that. So you have to really honestly call them out on their BS, Democrat, Republican. Stop making
a senator from your state, John Ossoff, something he did that was really awesome was he did a little bit of that. He didn't do billboard, but he went to a lot of the counties and he sat down with people and told them what the infrastructure bill was giving their county. And I feel like that to me is one of those great, just an illustration. It's like, it's going to fix 3 bridges in this county alone. It's going to do X, Y, and Z. It's going to bring this many jobs to fix those 3 bridges, right?
And that's what it means to really sit down and talk to your constituents and talk to these counties and people because they've never met a politician or they've never seen one. Go to them and say, hey, I want to do this for your community. This bill is going to do this for your community. I just want to let you know. Oh, why didn't
and these are the 5 people that didn't vote for it and who also represent this area. Let's get them out. Yeah.
Tell people who your real enemy is. If they say no, then that's on them.
Yeah.
The facts are facts.
Are they? I think that's part of this issue, right? Right now we live in this world that's a little split in reality. I think I'm hoping to see this new generation of people come in and I'm hoping to get something that look like the fairness doctrine back in to get our media a little bit in check. I don't know if it's possible, but that's something that's on my wish list as a non-constituent to the people I'm speaking to. I'm like, just a little something to rein it in, just kind of there.
I got you. Yeah. Because like you said, they should. I understand that you have freedom of speech and things like that, but you can use that to your advantage if you're a big political news organization that has billions of dollars.
More
But
money than God. Literally. So I saw you talking in an interview and you mentioned that you are going to be, your guiding, like your North Star is your 3 H's, your hustle and your heart and your humility. And I really love that. I do. Again, did you come up with that on the fly? Is it
yeah,
something you've been
it,
thinking about?
I was thinking like maybe this sounds right. I like that. It's the hustle mentality because my district, or really Georgia and Atlanta, it's a hustle. You got to hustle
It
to get what
is.
you want.
Yeah.
I played sports, you hustle, it pays
Hustle.
off and things like that. And I always tell people, no other congressman, no other candidate in this election or ever will ever outwork me. And that means
Right.
if that means calling people, canvassing, knocking on doors, that means social media, all that, you will not outwork me. And I have a Kobe Bryant mindset where it's like Mamba mentality. You're not going to beat me.
Yes.
If I see a weakness in my little set, hey, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to be better than
Like,
you.
I'm
I'm
going
going
to
to be the
fix it.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people run from that.
Amazing.
No, I want that. I want to hone on that because that makes me a better constituent or congressman.
Hell yeah. I love that. I think that's your billboard for yourself, right? I think everyone understands the hustle. Everyone understands how hard we're all working to just figure your lives out, right? And it's so exciting. So I have asked you all my questions for today. I would love to see you back here in a couple of months when we're
Of
getting
course.
closer.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
and we
crazy,
can
and
when
we're
we're
gonna
back.
have you're gonna get me on a list of people, and next time I'll be in person. We're gonna do that.
Oh
So
yeah, we'll
a
do that.
nice
We'll get
little.
a little couch somewhere, and we'll chat.
Ooh, I love that. I'm excited. Okay, just
Amazing.
don't forget about me.
Where
Okay.
Oh, I won't. Don't you worry. Where can people follow along? Where can people donate? Do you have any events coming up in the next month or
So
two?
I have a event happening in Gwinnett County in the next 2 weeks. It is going to be at a local restaurant. With that being said, we're still getting the logistics because we don't want to overpack them and things like that. But that is the next thing. But all my socials is Bonner for Congress, BONNER for Congress. That's the website. That's where you can donate. Because again, it's a
Yeah,
grassroots candidate. I'm not coming for money or big things. And if you want to support, in the world, because I need to pay people. I need to pay for these events.
that's
But
right.
yeah, that's
It takes money to win in Congress, which is that
exactly.
is what it is. Cool. Thanks so much for being here. You know what we here? I'm gonna do this. Oh gosh, we got that selfie light up. We're doing it. Amazing. Thanks. The Foolish Optimist is recorded by me, Amy McDonald, and my guests, mixed and edited also by me. Our theme music is by Bobby McDonald, and our art direction is by Norm Alger. Looking forward to seeing you next week.